This is a third straight day that we are doing video about Bitcoin. Definitely a record at Vietmaxim. We looked at Bitcoin yesterday. Here is a quick recap. It ran up to about 48.5, retraced, found support right at 46,000, bounced up, ran up to about 48.5, retraced, found support at 48,000, bounced up and tried to test this 50,000 level. Every time when it tried that, it get rejected. Consolidate, retest it again, get rejected. So for 4 straight time, it tried to cross over the 50,000 and got rejected every time. Then seller very much took over. They drove the price down. Bitcoin dropped below this prior support at 48.5. Looking at the volume continues to be a big problem. When Bitcoin dropped, we see this massive increase in sales volume. But the minute Bitcoin bounced up, the buy volume continued to be low. As you can see, the green bars are definitely lower than this red bar. One would think that if there are buyers waiting in line, the minute they see the price retrace, now the price is in this bargain basement price, we would expect to see the buyer jump in and massively push the price up. Then we would see this significant increase in the buy volume. But that is not the case. And that is one of the main reasons why Bitcoin was not able to cross over the 50,000. Because if you look at the buy volume here, there's definitely no buying support. And when you have low volume, it's really hard to push the price over this major resistance. And then for the last 3 hours, when Bitcoin started to retrace, we see that the sell volume definitely increased. That is not a good sign. So based on what I see here, there is a very high probability that we will not see Bitcoin trade over the 50,000 within the next couple of days. There is a very high probability that Bitcoin would even likely retest definitely the 48,000 and potentially the 46,000 before it could bounce up. Fast forward, you're looking at the 15 minutes chart for Bitcoin, and right now it's about 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on December the 6th. I want to look at the 15 minutes because we want to zero in to see how Bitcoin has performed over the past 24 hours. Before we look at the chart, I just want to make it very clear that I tend to say what I see on the chart. If the chart is negative, I will tell you so. If the chart looks bullish, I will tell you so. And if it is negative, in no way that I'm trying to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt whatsoever. So please keep that in mind. Yesterday, when we look at Bitcoin, that's when Bitcoin retraced, found support at 48,000, bounced up, crossed over the 48.5, then proceeded to run up and try to retest this resistance at the close to the 50,000. Got rejected, retrace, found support again, try again, but this time ran up to about 49.3, which is lower than this prior high. Retrace, dropped below the 48.5, again found support right at the 48,000. Then we see this big spurt in buying volume. The price spiked up, but the minute it ran up, seller pushed the price down. Then the price proceeded to retrace, dropped below 48.5, as well as the 4800, found support at about 47,000, stabilized, bounce up. Here's the key: the minute it ran up to this point, if we see that prior to that, the high is lower than the prior high, so draw this trend line. So we have this downward trend line. The minute Bitcoin retests the resistance of this downward trend line, it gets rejected. So this is not a good sign because this is definitely a downward trend that Bitcoin is setting up. And then after that, the price broke down, dropped below 48.5. And then again, it seemed to find support at 48,000. At this moment, Bitcoin is trading at 48.2 or down about 2.5%. So the key again is for Bitcoin to be able to trade over 48.5, stabilize over this major used to be support, now become resistance, and then trade outside of this downward channel. Otherwise, we would likely see Bitcoin continue to retrace. Yesterday, I talked about the possibility of Bitcoin could drop down to about 46,000. Could happen as long as we are seeing this downward trend line. Let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. Volume continue to be the problem. I don't see any significant increase in this green bar. So there's no indications that buyers are stepping in and they're pushing the price up. As long as the volume is low, Bitcoin will continue to struggle. Let's take a look at Bitcoin on this daily chart. What I like to do is look at the past, see how Bitcoin performed after a major drop up in price of about 10% or more. How long would it take for Bitcoin to kind of like zigzag? And at what point we would likely see the bottom before it starts to bounce up and then possibly continue this uptrend. The first major flash crash of 10% or more occurred around the first week in September. That when Bitcoin dropped from about 53,000 all the way to 40,000. After that, price stabilized, bounce up, get rejected, and after that, the price retraced, ended up, dropped below the low during the flash crash, all the way down to about 38,000 before found bottom, and then after that started this bullish reversal. So the first case that we see here is during the first week, it likely stabilized, and there is a possibility that it may run up, but after that, the second week, there's a possibility that the price would retrace, break down, and drop below this. The second time is around the third week in May. We see this major drop in price. After that, the price bounced up, tried to stabilize, but then again, it got rejected. And then about a couple weeks after that, price retraced, dropped all the way near the low during the flash crash before we start to see this sort of like rebound. And at this point, it actually dropped below the low of this flash crash before it actually found bottom and started this bullish reversal. Another crash of 10% or more occurred around January of this year. We see this major drop in price. After that, the price bounced up, but then get rejected again. About a couple weeks after that, we see the price continue to retrace, and then it dropped below the low during the flash crash before it found bottom and then began this bullish reversal. So there are a couple of things that we've seen after a major crash of about 10% or more. The positive thing is after it finds bottom, the price tends to reverse and then run higher. The negative thing is there is a very good probability that the low during the flash crash may not be the bottom as part of this retracement. There's a possibility that at some point in time, which is roughly about 2 or 3 weeks after the flash crash, seller will attempt to drive the price down. And there's a very good possibility that the price would drop even below the low during the flash crash. If history were to repeat itself, this is how I foresee Bitcoin would likely perform during the month of December. The next few days, we will likely see Bitcoin trade within the range of about 46,000 to 48,000. Then it will bounce up, then retest the 53,000, which is this prior high. There's a very high probability that it will get rejected. And once the price gets rejected, we would likely see Bitcoin trending down and eventually retest this all-time low at below 42,000. Based on history, there is still the possibility that this low may not provide support. And if that was the case, then we're looking at Bitcoin could retest this prior low at 39.5. And hopefully it would see some support at that level and begin this reversal in price. So as far as I'm seeing, I don't expect Bitcoin to trade over 53,000 by the end of this year. Hopefully Bitcoin will prove me wrong. That's it for this video, and don't forget to click that like button and reward me with a like if you appreciate the content that I'm presenting. Also, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button and subscribe, and make sure you turn notification on. And if you have Twitter, make sure you follow me at Vietmaxim, because I provide constant update on all of our favorite cryptos.